meeting will now come to order. Could I have a roll call?
John Hutzko.
Steve Caswell.
Michael O'Brien.
Lori G.
John Cutler.
Craig Smith.
Great. And if everyone would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have several upcoming meeting dates, one on February 17th and one on March 17th. And we have a few sets of minutes to approve. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 21st? Actually, no, we'll hold off on those. Pam, I don't have the attendance for mine cuts off, so we'll just hold those over to the next meeting. Sorry about that. All right, so we'll move on to the first item on our agenda tonight, which is a decision for Jackson Corners Phase 2. And I believe we had said that the original neg deck was sufficient, so we just have the decision. Any changes, Brian, since last time we saw this or talked about it?
I don't believe there's any changes from the last time we talked about it.
Okay. Joe, did we look at the bonding and everything? Is there anything we need to adjust there or anything we should talk about before we offer the resolution?
The bonding, Scott and I did go over the numbers last week, but they've also done work on site, and we have to try to take account for the work that's been done and make an adjustment on the bond amount. There's also, they have an existing letter of credit of, I believe, $250,000, so we wanted to see if...
An existing what?
Letter of credit.
Letter of credit, sorry, okay.
So we just...
I thought you said weather credit, and I'm thinking that's unusual.
No.
It's not.
I think what we're going to do is leave it as a to-be-determined amount and just work that out between now and signature.
Okay.
But that'll also set some of the inspection fees, and that's usually incorporated.
Okay, so in a sum should be determined. It says in a form approved by the town attorney. Okay. So you're going to say in a sum to be determined by the town engineer?
Right. Right.
So Brian, that's something that between now and the signing of the map, you just have to work out the numbers and make sure everybody's in agreement. Okay. So that's number 5.
Is it 5 or 6?
Posting the performance bond, number 5.
Oh, okay.
Any other changes or comments? Brandon, Michelle, Joe, Scott? Okay. Any questions or comments by board members?
Yeah, are we going to make any changes to number 6? Just say the appropriated escrow fees and leave it at that? We're not going to set any?
They're as required by town code, so they're established in the...
Okay.
What's the last revision date of the plan?
I think we have December 10th.
I'm sorry?
December 10th, 2014.
14.
December 10. Okay.
The only question I had, and the applicant raised, was obviously we've done construction on site, and we've just initiated the winter shutdown rules, which means we've stabilized the majority of the site.
All right, I saw the letters.
So we've completed, obviously, the mass grading aspect of the project. We've installed the holding ponds and the outlet structures. During this whole process, we had the environmental monitor that was out there inspecting along with us. Since we've reached this point, the applicant was wondering what's the mechanism to dial back the environmental aspect, or are we at a point where we can terminate Walter from being out there, since the buffer area, all the disturbance that has been or was proposed has been completed, and obviously it's been stabilized to initiate the winter shutdown rule. So I don't know what you guys have done in the past.
I don't think we can answer that right now. I've reached out to Walter, and we're going to, discuss it. I don't think we can answer that tonight.
Yeah, I think the letters,
We do
just
have
the
your request, and
emails
we'll-
I just saw in the last day or so, right?
Right, the applicant wanted me to ask it tonight, and I'm just forwarding
Okay.
on that request.
You're ceasing all work, right?
Correct.
Until there's no snow on the,
Till there's no snow, until we have some contracts that are closer to
I don't
being
think you're
wrapped up.
asking for a temporary abatement of the environmental monitor, you're asking for a permanent one.
Right, and what's the protocol that you've used in the past? Just for an educational purpose, as more projects come along, what does it take to stop it?
Normally, if it's a requirement in your resolution, you would come back to us and just with whatever information you have, and we would take a look at where you stand with the project. In other projects that are probably a different scale than this, there might have been specific stop points based on number of lots completed or something like that, but I don't think this one
Yeah, I don't
kind of
think we
rose to the level of that
I think
type
what we
of
found in
form.
the past, though, if you close one out for the subdivision itself, the infrastructure, then if you have enough lots left and enough future disturbance left in building those homes, now you gotta open up a new NOI for those remaining lots. Now, I'm not quite sure what that threshold is, and that's what we'll look at, but,
Yeah.
you know, we'll have to see, where you fall within.
But I think we would be able to put it on as a discussion item at the point where we're ready for that, and the board could do that by motion, right? I don't think that requires any kind of formal.
It's just in all honesty, until the snow's gone, we see what kind
Yeah,
of
no,
domination, I mean, it's gonna be a springtime decision.
Right.
You know, I think if you're just looking for a temporary abatement between, maybe for the next month or two, we can discuss that now, but not
Right.
permanent.
Right.
For a temporary suspension, Tom, are we comfortable that we leave that to the discretion of the town engineer, or does the planning board need to act on that?
I'm not sure, if there's nothing to inspect, why are you spending the money?
No, I'm fine with that. I don't know whether it needs to come to the planning board if it's a temporary thing, or if we can
That
leave
would be
it.
all right.
What?
That would be all right, just administratively.
Okay. Okay. So Brian, I saw the letters go back and forth, just complete the process. I'm sure there's going to be, like, Scott's going to talk to Walter, and they're going to figure out what the right next steps are.
Sounds good.
Okay. Did we?
Sorry, there was a couple of things that we covered at the last meeting, or maybe right after that. But I think Brian already has taken into account moving the trees off of the right-of-way and just putting them on the lots. And he was also planning on showing a site distance easement triangle. It's required in the code anyway, but he's just going to show it on the plan to be called out. And he had a note for it already, but it's just showing the actual easement on the plan. And that wasn't in my last letter, but we had talked about it since, so I don't know if that should be added to the resolution, or Brian and I will just keep track of it separately.
Okay. Tom, how would we phrase that if it's not in
I
letter?
think we just put that in number 7, that the trees would be moved on to the lots, and the site distance easement would be filed before the map is with the map.
Can you just, one more time, trees will be,
The trees will be moved on to the lots, the individual lots, right?
Let's do
And the
trees.
site distance easement will be recorded with the map.
okay. Anything else, Joe?
No, that's it.
Okay. And do we have the date of your last letter?
January 15th, 2015.
Okay. Excellent. And Brian, you said December 10th on the plan?
Correct.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments from board members? Anything else we need to add to the resolution, Joe, that you have right now? Okay. All right, does someone want to offer the resolution?
Sure.
Okay, Mike?
Resolution of final subdivision approval. The name of the subdivision is Jackson Corners Phase 2. The name of the applicant is Mid-Hudson Holding LLC. Location is Townsend Road. Resolution offered by Planning Board member Michael O'Brien. Whereas on July 20th, 2010, preliminary subdivision approval was granted to create 6 residential building lots, and whereas on July 20th, 2010, all requisite seeker reviews were completed and a negative declaration adopted, and whereas on December 20th, 2011, the subdivision was approved in phases, with Phase 1 receiving approval and preliminary approval being extended as to the now Phase 2, and whereas the applicant has now applied for Phase 2 final approvals, now therefore be it resolved that the final approval is hereby granted to Phase 2 of the project shown on a map entitled Jackson Corners Subdivision Phase 2. prepared by M. Gillespie and Associates Consulting Engineers, PLLC, dated November 29th, 2007, and revised to
December 10, 2014.
December 10, 2014. And be it further resolved that the final approval for Phase 2 is subject to all the conditions of preliminary approval being satisfied in the following conditions. 1, modifications set forth in the town engineer's letter of
January 15th.
January 15th. Dutchess County Health Department approval. 3, since no land is set aside for recreational purposes, the applicant will pay a recreation in lieu of fee of $24,000 for the balance of the lots by February 28th, 2015. 4, recording of any easements, stormwater, or wetlands agreements as required. 5, posting of a performance bond in the sum to be determined by the town engineer in a form approved by the town attorney, guaranteeing the performance of all work required by this approval. 6, payment of the appropriate inspection and escrow fees required by the town code. 7, trees to be moved on to the individual lots, and the site distance easement will be recorded.
Just make that street trees. Street trees
Street trees, okay,
will be recorded with the map.
with the map.
Any
Anything
other,
else?
any other comments or changes? Okay, Mike?
Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the planning board shall cause a copy of this resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Bear with me here 1 second. Do I have a second? Sorry.
Second.
Second by Craig, and votes as follows. John?
Aye.
Jason, not here. Craig?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Welcome as your new first official full board member vote. John Cutler?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Our next agenda item is a discussion for Paline Construction on Ryan Drive.
Good evening. I have here tonight with me Steve Conti and Bruce Pops. They're the owner-operators of Hope Apparatus. And they came along, so if you have any questions about what they do, they can answer those for you too as well.
Okay.
We're here tonight because Hope Fire Apparatus would like to move to the 4 Ryan Drive location and occupy 2 bays of the 5-bay garage for the services that they render to the different fire districts in the area.
Okay.
There will be no change in the site whatsoever for them to move over. It really is just them occupying 2 bays of the 5 of the interior of the building.
Okay, I guess that's different than what I thought I saw information that you were going to add doors to the building.
No, nothing's changing to the building itself, footprint, or the site whatsoever. The only thing we're adding inside is just a couple little, where their desks are going to be for like a little office. In one of the bays, we're just going to add a couple walls for like a little 600-square-foot office for them, and that's it.
And is there going to be egress out of those offices directly to the outside?
Well, yeah, you have that one door on the side here. This side of the building right here, right here, which has this exterior door here, which leads into here into their little open area space here, which leads into a little door in their office. So it's an open area just with a smaller office inside that leads to the outside.
Okay, and they're taking 2 bays, not 1?
2.
Okay. Do we have the drawing? I think there was a drawing submitted of the interior of the building.
Bring that with me.
Do we have that handy? That's okay, Michelle. If you, I think there was a wall proposed, and the offices weren't actually, didn't encompass the side door. Has that changed, or is that the same? Okay. All right, so I'm going to call it the Paline side versus the apparatus side.
that's
Is that
fine.
okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So on the Payleen side of the building, we have offices, and you have direct egress out of the offices. They wouldn't, if something happens in the shop, you would be able to leave via an outside door.
Okay.
So you don't have that, at least the way the drawing is right now, on the apparatus side of the building.
No, but according to the code, what it fits under the fire code is that you have to have a door within 75 feet to an exterior door, which we have in that office area. They're less than 50 feet to that exterior door from inside that office. Plus, you also have 3 4x5 windows in that office that could be used as, a fire escape, obviously, if you were stuck in
Are
the
they,
office.
they do open?
Oh, yes, they're
Okay.
open, yeah.
Okay.
Is there any door in the privacy wall?
No. And to tell you the truth, I don't even know if we're going to put that privacy wall up. We were just doing that at first because when we spoke with Bruce, then we were going to keep it separate, but since we kind of do the same style things in the garage, it's just us and them, we really need to put that there. It's all going to be, it's just all of us together in there. The only thing that has to be separate would just be those 2 little offices.
So from an emergency exit standpoint,
Correct.
they will be able to, if you do put it up, is there any chance of putting an emergency door in there so that, back to Lori's point, you have more options in the event of an emergency?
Yes. We could put it in, but like I said, I don't think we're going to put that partition wall up anymore at all. It's going to be one big open garage area and just the separate little office in the corner.
Okay.
Can I ask, what led to this? Do you guys, is Payleen Construction?
No, but that's it. No, once we, we're building the site, we built it, and once they saw the building go up, they approached us, once they saw the building, the access for them, for the fire trucks, and, especially the new hook and ladders and stuff, they can get in and out of the site easily. So they approached us. We realized the size building we built, really for what we're using it for, the building's probably too much for what we were going to need it for. So we said, why not give them a couple of spaces, and they're a neighbor across the street, they're going to move over.
So it's not like,
No,
you're right, by the
this
way.
all came
The
about.
site did turn out very well.
Thank you.
So that's the other question we had. So you're not intending to resize these doors or anything for any of the apparatus that'll have to come in?
Nothing's going to change on this plan, absolutely nothing.
Okay. Do we have the site? So right now you have, I'm sorry, now I'm just looking at, you gave us a small, I think,
Yeah, just a
picture of the
little, yeah.
site, so I'll just,
That's just like a little snapshot of the building area.
so do you have parking accessible to the new Hopewell apparatus, and what kind of employees are you going to have from there? We just need to look at your parking and make sure you've got
Yeah.
adequate parking and all of that.
They have, I believe, there was a letter, I don't know if you guys received the letter, that Hopewell apparatus, a little narrative on them.
Okay.
They have 4 employees, but 3 of those guys, 85% of the times they're on the road, they're not even there, because they do most of their work in the local fire departments there at their sites. Only if a truck for some reason has to come in, it stays inside in the garage, and they have to work on that. Besides that, so you have 4 people, 85% of the time, 3 of them are on the road. As for us, Payleen, we have 3 employees, but same thing with them. 85, 90% of the time, they're not even there. They're on job sites. They only come in, and it's usually to work in the back to remove a piece of equipment or a truck. It's not like you have 3 employees that are there, full-time. They're in and out, and like I said, 90% of the time, they're probably not even there.
Okay, and how many parking spots do you have now?
Right now, we have 14, and that includes the handicap.
No,
And it was designed, the parking lot area is designed that I could add more parking spots if I had to. It's just we never did because, there's no reason for it. We have plenty of parking for what we're doing there. But there is room to add parking spots if I had to without, reconfiguring anything.
Okay, so how accessible is the handicap parking spots to the new tenant?
Where the handicap spot is.
Like, is there a sidewalk they walk along?
Yeah, there's a sidewalk that wraps all,
Or is there?
Yeah, the sidewalk wraps all around the building. You have a main handicap ramp right here that if they come on the sidewalk, they can come right around and go into this door here if they need to be. Or they can
Without a step?
No, yeah, there's no steps. It's a ramp, and they come right around. They can go right into this door, the ramp that goes to that door. Or, since the garage area is all open, they can even come through this door and out this door that comes into the main garage area too. So they have another access. They want to go into the garage area that way. Or they had to, I mean, they could come. to
Well,
the
but
garage
assuming
door.
you built the privacy wall, I guess I want to make sure that there's adequate access into the building for both tenants. You've got ADA laws and things like that need to make sure.
Yes.
And I don't know, Michelle, as far as the handicapped spaces, is there anything that says that we have to have the spaces in proximity to each tenant, or having the spaces close to the building and accessible by sidewalk? What's the?
Well, my understanding from an analysis that was done is that it does appear that they would like the handicap spaces, but they don't particularly like it when you enter into a garage. They'd like you to enter into an office space, so you have an access directly from the office out to the exterior of the building. I guess that must be in the event of a fire, so maybe more of a fire code or building code issue. So in other words, right now, it's shown, I don't have it, I just gave it to you, but it's shown that the door to the newly proposed office, that would be Hopewell Apparatus, is on the side, and they would have to kind of walk through the garage into the office space. And I guess the code likes to see a door directly to the exterior in case there's somebody in the office that needs to exit.
Code likes to see or code requires?
Well, it looks like it's required.
Okay. So we need to either figure out whether you're making.
So the office area cannot exit through the garage is what it is the information I was given.
Okay. Okay. Do we have the code reference for that, or we can provide that, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. So are you able to convert one of those windows into a door, or what would you recommend?
I could talk to Steve and these guys and see maybe if I could just extend that office to, or instead of putting the office in the corner, move it out to where that door is incorporated, exterior door is incorporated into the office area. So that door,
Or if
that
you're
door
truly,
open.
or if you're truly sharing the space, maybe you can move the offices next to the current Paylene offices and have a.
No, I'd rather keep the office on their side separate, but like I
Okay.
said, I have that exterior
Alright.
door, so maybe somehow I could just move that office so that door comes into that office.
Is that going to limit your ability to bring a fire truck in there, though?
Probably a little bit, yes, in that one area, I might
Maybe it'd be better to move the door.
look at it. Look at it.
And then again, Michelle, with the handicap parking spaces, is there anything that says that if you have a walk down the sidewalk around the corner of the building, that's a problem? Or are we okay as long as they're not going up a step?
I mean, as long as you have access, I mean, obviously, it's ideal to have the handicap spaces close by to the parking, but there's, right, well, right here, that's the Paylene office, but this office here, they have to walk up here and go around here. So, I mean, I guess what I would recommend is that they would stripe one of the spaces towards the other side of the building as handicapped, then they have two. Because the issue is in the event that this space changes at some point to another use, then you have handicap accessibility here. I mean, even though this use may not actually require a handicap space because they're not really serving customers.
Yeah, I mean, they're not open to the
Right.
public. That's the thing, Hopewell Apparatus, they don't have people coming in and out. It's just their employees and they're working for they're not open to the public.
Okay.
And like she says, if you have a different use, but I thought I'd have to probably come back if I had to do something. So for this use, I think it fit into our criteria there
I mean,
of what we have.
The requirement is one space for every.
50.
Every 50, well, one for every 20, so you need to go to two when you go to 50.
I thought it was it's one handicap, I thought, for every 50 spots.
I think it's two when you go to 50. So
No.
you only got 14, you're under 25,
Five.
so you have one space
One,
required.
okay.
Even though there will be two tenants in the building,
Right.
it's still only one handicap space for her, okay. And are we providing two, or are we?
No, they're providing one,
Okay.
but the issue is just that it's all the way to the side where the Paylene office is, and it's not, the handicapped person would need to walk across the parking lot, get on the sidewalk, walk the length of the building and around half of the building to get in to the Hopewell Apparatus office space. So the issue is it's a little bit, well, actually, if they cut a new door in the corner, they wouldn't have to walk as far.
I mean, if they cut it in the front of the building, they wouldn't have to walk nearly as far.
So that might actually solve that problem.
Yeah, I just have to see, I don't know, structurally, on that pre-engineered building, if I could just cut a door like that, that's what I have to look at.
fair enough, but we're just,
Yeah.
okay.
And I'm sorry, Michelle, your comments earlier, was that the code
Yeah.
about, so you cannot have a door,
You can have an office
office
that
door
exits
that
into
opens
a garage.
into a garage, okay.
They need some other egress out to the outside of the building, besides going through the garage to get out the building, which is how it is proposed now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we're not open for public comment. You're welcome to come. Are you part of the applicant?
Yeah, that's,
So
yes,
you
yes.
can come up, we just need to bring you,
Okay.
get your name for the minutes, and you can come up to the mic.
Jack Igliotti, and I'm from Paling Construction. If their office is only for their personal use only, we're talking about, a handicap accessible. There's no reason why anybody would be in their offices. They're not open to the public. Their office is their personal use. They have a secretary there that works there, and that's it. There's no use of that office to the public at all.
Right, but I wouldn't know whether one of the employees may eventually, I don't know, need accessibility like that or something like that. I mean, whenever you have something that's a public building that will be used by people, there's, the ADA law requires you have that accessibility. I'm not sure that you have a problem. We're just trying to
No, I'm
figure
not
out
sure
whether
either.
the
That's why I was
spot where it
asking.
is close enough and provides adequate ingress for somebody who may need it.
I see. I'm just trying to think, because, putting a door in that building, I don't know how easy that is, because it's a pre-engineered building. You just can't cut a door
Well,
in.
that's a different thing. I think what we're saying is the code says that you can't have an office exit through shop space. So that is something that we'll give you the reference in the code. You'll have to take a look at it and
So I may put a
figure out.
hallway in then, from that doorway to that office, it would be then considered part of the office. It's only about 15 feet, 20 feet
There
from
may
the
be a lot
office.
of ways, yeah, I mean, we're not telling you how to solve it, we're just telling you what the code is requiring, because if you're going to put we never, when you originally presented this plan to us, it was supposed to be a single tenanted building, and your offices have the direct egress. And that's the way the building is set up right now. So now you're adding a second tenant, you just have to make sure you still meet all of the right guidelines for the second tenant as well. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay. Michelle, is there anything else with regard to the accessibility to the building that we need to talk about? I know there's a change in use here with adding a second tenant. Do you have any plans to have a third tenant or a fourth tenant? I know,
No,
you've got 5 bays here, so I
Yeah.
guess
No, I
theoretically you
mean,
could
not
have
at
up
the-
to 5, right?
Not at this time. It's probably just going to hopefully stay for what we have the use for and Hope Apparatus, but
Okay.
I can't say no to that if someone came along 5 years from now and
Okay.
this place is vacant or something, I'll just have to come back for it, but as of now, no,
Okay.
it's just going to be us and them.
Okay.
And the other comment that came back from the code was that there's a second bathroom, and I don't know if that's still proposed as part
I'm
of
sorry, say that
the
again.
second bathroom. Is that still proposed as part of the office space for Hopewell
Yeah,
apparatus?
they're going to have the little one that's in the office, and they have like a little toilet and sink just for the guys when they're out in the garage.
Okay, and that also is not permitted to exit through the garage area. So whatever you do there probably needs to go into the office and then out through whatever egress is from the office space.
So you can't have you're saying that one in the,
That apparently, yes, is also a code requirement. And then I guess, do you know yet now if you're going to have the wall, you're not going to do the wall?
no, I'm almost 100% sure we're not going to do that big partition wall. There's really no reason for it.
So, I'm sorry, Michelle, the stairs to the bathroom can't leave a garage.
I guess you can't, the they can't go through the garage. You need to have direct, I guess for any like space that's occupied by employees or people that are in there regularly, has to have direct access to the outside. You can't have to walk through, because I guess if in the event there's a fire, you don't want to have to walk through a space that, I guess they're assuming that the fire would likely be in the garage, and you can't have to walk through that to get to the exterior. They want direct access from that office space.
But my question to that is, so you're saying that you can't, it's a garage. How can you have, if you just have a
That's-
bathroom in a garage,
that
I'm assuming they
apparently
have
is the
access to
code.
that.
Well,
The exit door is required from the office
I think we're
to the
getting a little
outdoors.
beyond maybe where, I'd just like to say is that normally when a building is proposed before you, that's going to be multiple tenants, you look at the site, like the same party had a building down the street that has multiple tenants. It's all laid out, they don't know what's going to be inside, but the doors are lined, the parking, et cetera. So in this particular case, the building department referred this to the planning board for a discussion to see if having multiple tenants here would require any physical changes to the site plan. So if, based on the discussion tonight, it doesn't appear that there's going to be physical changes to the site plan, it would then go back to the building department, who would then consider the building permit. And obviously, that takes into account the New York State Code, which takes into account the things that Michelle's referring to, direct access from an office, et cetera. So I think it would be clear from the discussion so far, unless another space has to be located on the property as handicapped, or a doorway is required because of the fire code issues, doesn't appear that the applicant's making any exterior changes to the building or
The
layout.
planning board is also still considering the change of use, and I believe there's also,
Right.
we have something in front of us that shows some additional landscaping, so I just want to make sure we're not losing sight of the rest of the discussion. Tom, I'm fine if there's interior discussions to be held, but I think we're trying to figure out whether or not we're okay with the handicap parking spot, where it's laid out based on having a second tenant all the way on the other side of the building.
But that
from the
also would
city.
be in the state code, the distance for the handicapped spaces. Usually lay them out when a building's proposed to be divided up, usually lay them out, you know, for the shortest route into the building, so.
I'm with you, but I mean, maybe there's a way here to put the handicap spot on its side, maybe in the center of the building or something, just with striping as opposed to actually changing site. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not sure there's huge changes to be made. We just want to make sure we have the right access. So Tom, are you saying we need to refer this back to the building department to
Well, the building
identify whether the
department
door is
referred
needed
it
or
to you
not?
for two reasons, as I understand it. Number one is that the certificate of occupancy was just issued as a single-use building, and then they came in for a fit-up to
Additional
divide
use.
it. It had never been disclosed to the board during your prior review that there were going to be multiple tenants, and that's probably a fact they didn't know. It probably changed afterwards.
Right,
So
right.
to err on the side of caution, the building department, as they have in the past, refers it to the board for a discussion for you to determine whether you feel it's a change in use that warrants modifications to the site plan. Doesn't appear from this discussion that the issues are site plan related, except for the location of the spot, as opposed to fire code issues, which would be resolved under the state code. So yes, you would refer it back to the building department, and they would then go ahead and process the building permit.
And if they're requiring a new door to the outside,
Then they would have to go either to the ARB or come back to you if there's a modification to sidewalks, things like that.
and the parking.
Right.
Okay. With regard to the change in use, is that something that this board needs to approve?
No, it's a permitted use under zoning. It's just that now the building is being reviewed to see if it's adequate to handle multiple users. And,
Right.
you know, based on the narrative that's been provided in your discussion, it would seem that that's the way the board's leaning.
Okay, so, Tom, are we just passing this back to the building department? Are we making a motion and seconding it to send it back to the building department?
I think
What are
you'd
you
make a
suggesting?
motion and second to refer it back to the building department for consideration of the building permit.
Okay. Do we need to talk about the landscaping?
The applicant has proposed a request to add some additional trees along Ryan Drive, and they are proposed to be 2.5 caliber pear and plum trees, which are ornamental trees, and then a couple arborvitae at the entrance.
Okay.
And
Was this part of the original site plan that just hasn't been installed, Michelle, or is it just additional?
No, these were never on the original site plan, but once we went out to do the, a site visit, we noted that it was, the landscaping was pretty sparse along Ryan Drive, and actually, so what they're proposing, and I know that you have a copy of it, I don't know if everyone had a chance to see it, but they're proposing to add the landscaping sort of at the front of Ryan Drive, and their site does extend back here, and they've got sort of a nice wall with a fence on top of it in the back, and there's no landscaping in front of that, or none proposed at this time.
Okay. So Tom, I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing here. If we're not considering a site plan change at this time, and you're
Well, you
telling
would
us...
say that just the motion would be that based on the January 30th, 2015 narrative of Hopewell fire apparatus and the mode of operation set forth therein, you referred back to the building department for appropriate action for modifications within the building.
Okay, okay. I'm asking about the landscaping. We have something
Well, I think the
submitted from the
landscaping was
applicant,
something that they've agreed to do, so you want to add that to your resolution?
which is a minor site plan modification, so I just want to make sure, do we actually do the minor site plan modification with the landscaping right now, or do we wait for it to come back from the building department to identify if an additional door is needed or the handicap parking space is too far away?
I'm just thinking, I know we've had other projects where the trees have been relocated. I know they were
think
supposed to
these are-
plant some trees along 82,
Yes.
and then maybe because they weren't really necessary, they're relocating them over to this site, even though they might be a different species. So being that it's just a relocate, I don't know if that's just like a minor...
Which I'm fine with, but if we're going to send it back to you, and then you're going to send it to us because now the handicap spot needs to change a location, I mean, I guess we can do two resolutions. I just thought we could try to knock it out all in one.
Mhm. Well, you could have the resolution as I proposed and add to it that the moving of landscaping from 82 side to the Ryan Drive side, as agreed to with the town planner, would be acceptable to the board. Because you may never see this again. If it goes to the building department...
I would be fine
never.
never-
You may never see
I don't
it.
mean I would be fine never seeing it. We love having people in front of the planning board, but
Oh, we're picking up that maybe you're not feeling that, but that's fine.
Sorry.
But I would also like to send this, if we do send it back, well, when we do send it back, with a stipulation that says, if they come back with a solution that meets code, that we're not going to say, well, we want to move the door or something like that, right? I mean, if we do that, let's agree that we'll live with any solution, internal solution that meets the code, right?
the only reason it would come back is if they have to make exterior changes to the building, or if they have to move the location of the parking spot, the handicap parking spot. Otherwise, if we make a motion and we approve it tonight, we'll never see it.
So does it, if they have to add a door, does that trigger having to come back, or can the ARB
it goes
just
to
review
ARB.
it at the building department level?
Yeah, it goes to the
It just depends. If you're moving the parking, then
Well,
yes.
parking
Yes,
I get.
I thought that the parking move was pretty much gonna happen, right? When you look at the drawings,
I
right?
just don't know what I don't think we know right now what the ADA requirements are as far as the longest distance. You can expect someone who needs the handicap parking to walk before they reach the door to the building.
What
Now, what if they
constitutes
just took one of the existing 14 spaces and added a second handicap? Does that have to come back, or we can do that?
They're all on the other side. They're not, there's no other parking along the building.
From the shelf?
Except
I
for
think
that
they
one
still,
spot.
I think they still, the only curb cut to get up on the curb, I think, is here, but let me just confirm that. Paul? Is the only place where you can actually get up on the curb right here? Is there only curb? Yeah, so the only curb cut is at the corner where the Palian office is now. So no matter what, even if they parked here, they'd have to get up here and come around.
Okay.
So that's,
Okay. And it's, I mean, if that's fine and state code says that's good, why, no one has an issue with it, but I think we just have to make sure that that's appropriate. All right, so do I have a motion to, I'm sorry, does anybody else have any questions? Good, all right, so do I have a motion to refer this applicant back to the building department for consideration of the location of the door of the building and confirmation that the location, current location of the handicap parking spot is adequate, and then anything else the building department would do with regard to the additional 10, and I'm sure there's something with the construction of the offices. And along with that motion, do we also approve the proposed additional landscaping trees along the drive as a minor site plan amendment?
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Tom, did I catch it right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you do have a fire,
So-
hopefully there'll be a fire truck nearby.
I can't hear you,
So
Scott.
the door is not a trigger, but a handicap space would be. Correct.
The door will be a trigger to the ARB. The handicap parking spot needing to move will bring them back for an additional slightly minor site plan amendment. All right, thank you. Please work with the building department and... Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the Korzenecki-Garneri lot line realignment on Warren Drive, and I apologize if I mispronounce those names.
Michael Farley for Ms. Guarneri and Ms. Korzenecki. We're looking to correct the file map that had a wrong meets and bounds that
Okay.
put the property out of bounds since 1972 when the CO was issued.
Okay,
This came about when we had a contract to buy, the buyer still wants it. They got a new survey, and the survey brought this to light.
okay,
So we're looking to correct what was a file map. On the file map, the current map is, I believe, 3932. The boundary between 11 Warren and 13 Warren would have had a meets and bounds description of north 84, 34, 20 east. That fails to close the property in the back property line. As such, it would have had to be north 85, 34, 20 east, which would close the property. However, it would put still part of the property in question. The corner of the house, we're not sure if it's in by 2 inches or out by 2 inches unless we go and really deal it. And the deck, which both have a CO for, would be half in, half out. So we're proposing the meets and bounds adjustment to bop out the property in the front line on that line by .086 acres and bop it in on the back line by the same .068 acres, giving an equal exchange, not changing the acreage, and just correcting and putting everything inside, so we can continue to transfer.
okay. And does that meet all of the required setbacks? And was the shed also
The shed would go in bounds. It's a, I think
with
it's...
this realignment, or they're going to
Yes,
move the
not-
shed?
It's an 8x8, I think it's movable, but it goes
Okay.
back in the boundaries with this. That does go inside.
Okay,
The shed would come inside the boundary lines.
okay.
And is the dog pen still on the site?
The door pen would be removed.
Okay, dog pen's removed, and then, the deck is still staying?
Deck is still standing, it's part of the original structure from '72. So
So-
there was a CO for the house and the rear deck. Nothing's been changed or added on that. So that was the big concern, getting the house and the rear deck. Provided the CO number, I think it's 33152, provided for both of those. Those come in, the shed comes in, the shed's 8x8, but it's slidable, so they would move that even further or take it down. I don't know the condition of
Yeah,
it.
I think because right, even if you move the lot line, it still would be within the setback, and that's not allowed, so you'd have to move that shed out of the setback.
The shed would be moved back, outside
The
the
house and
setback.
deck, though, would meet the setback?
The deck would also be within the setback. The house would meet the setback, but the deck, the corner of the deck apparently would be still within the setback.
Okay. So is that a ZBA referral, or is that within the planning board's purview
Yeah,
to allow?
it probably needs to go to the ZBA.
Okay.
Because the only, if I change it and increase the exchange, the only problem is we're facing a foreclosure here as well. Just so, I have a first and second mortgage with foreclosure. Ms. Krasinski, unfortunately, is ill. I have a buyer that's been trying to buy it for a while. We've been looking for solutions without going in this plan to see if there's a way to do it, just do it, anything we could do. If I...
This would
how
be a
far am I-
minor, this would be a minor action by the planning board. We could do it by motion, but because you're not going to fully meet zoning requirements, before the planning board would take that action, we would have to refer you to the zoning board to get a zoning variance to allow the structures not to meet the setback.
The deck is in the setback.
Structure's not going to be in the setback.
I have a
The deck
CO
of the
vote for the
house and the
property.
corner of the house.
And the deck. I have a CO vote for the deck, so
why
that's
we
my question.
Need a zoning.
And it's just being sold, right? There's not.
just being sold.
It's not like there's going to be, it's going to be then raised in another.
No. I mean, that's my only question. I do have a CO for that property and the deck as it exists currently. So
Can we
why
just
am I
say it's
having to go to
pre-existing
ZBA
non-conforming?
for that?
I don't know why you're...
Well, it's lessening the non-conforming by doing the lot line realignment.
Right, I'd say, I would vote for that. As long as, if they can move the shed, because they can move the shed easily.
Shed will be
The
removed, you
deck-
can
the
stick
deck
that the shed be
is-
removed or
It's a
removed.
pre-existing
The dog
non-conforming
pen's
condition.
gone, and he's going to move the
Dog
shed.
pen
Yeah,
will
and
be
the dog
gone.
pen's gone.
Dog
Will be
pen's-
gone
dog
or
pen's
is
just-
gone?
Dog pen is partially gone already. It's just a chain link fence.
I see.
Okay.
It was just in the middle of being removed when we had this wonderful weather.
Well, the fence can be within the setback, though, right? A fence? So
Yeah.
that's not an issue anyway.
The dog pen was just a chain link fence, it wasn't any structure.
Okay.
The shed, like I said, is, from my measurements and what the surveyors told me, is less than 8 by 8, and not like one of the freestanding, either Amish,
Okay.
that could be slid. But we did have a CO since 72 for the property and the deck as it exists.
So
And there's
Tom, if
been
we're
no expansion.
lessening a
Well,
non-conformance.
we don't know if it is not, because we don't know what the requirement in 72 was. If he has a C of O for the deck, then I'm fine with that part.
Well, the lot line's running through the deck right now. So
Well,
that's
you're
what,
improving. You're lessening.
We're-
Sure.
And the lot line would hit just the very edge of the, it would
There's
be
a little
right outside
corner.
the deck, right?
It's actually going to go, the proposed would go outside the deck and make sure, actually, the proposed would go way outside the deck and would just hit the fence on the dog pen. The dog pen would be inside. The
I think
fence
we'd
would
still
be- oh, if it's
expect,
there.
if you're telling us you're removing the fence, we'd
I
still
will
expect the
have-
fence to be
I will-
removed.
I will have no problem, no one wants the dog pen. The new buyer doesn't want the dog pen. There are no dogs anymore.
Okay.
So it comes down to the shed would come inbounds, but like I said, it's a 8 by 8, and if that had to be removed or slid,
Okay.
that would be fine.
Okay, so.
But the deck would look like it's coming in, I don't know, roughly
Do we
15
have
feet.
Pam, I'm sorry, do you have the picture, the map that we could take a quick look at? Thank you. Yeah, so Michelle, I think the deck, it's going to be well within the lot line, but it's just not going to meet the setback requirement, right? So it's not like it's touching the lot line or anything like that. The shed, if it gets moved inward, would be the same. What's our setback there, 25 feet?
Well, it is
Yes.
now. We don't know in 72, was it?
Yeah, we don't know what it was in 72.
All right.
Is there any issues with the pool?
Pool's coming down,
Pool's coming down too?
Coming down or taken down?
coming down.
Yeah,
Was it an above-ground pool, or was it?
Yes,
a-
Yeah, it was, I saw the aerial, and it looked like I could tell the dog pen was not really in operation. And the pool also did not look like it was in operation either.
Okay. Okay. So Tom, you're comfortable that we're lessening a non-conforming situation. We can approve this as a minor lot line realignment without referral to the zoning board? Okay.
Because he has a C of O.
Because
Because he has a CFO.
And is
Okay,
C of O,
so-
just so you know for your record, the CO is issued 33512. It was issued in 72.
In 72, okay. For the deck and the house?
Yeah,
Okay.
it specifically says.
Okay.
And then there was a permit and everything issued afterwards for a repair of some damage, but it wasn't
Okay.
inside.
You're sure
fine.
aerials would show this, but that the deck over the years hadn't been expanded from a 10 by 10 deck to a 20 by 20 deck?
That's what I was told. She hasn't done anything since
That's the original deck.
the original deck. That's what she told me.
I mean, we can look at the aerials, you might show it. It might.
I mean, it doesn't look like what's there is a big deck to begin with, so it looks like it's an 8 by 12, I think was the original.
I'm sure looking at it, you'll know whether it's a 40-year-old.
Are you able to pull up the aerial, John?
It's all trees.
Okay.
I might be able to give you a copy of that.
You have the aerial photographs?
I might have something.
Great.
Which started the whole thing.
While you're looking, any other comments, Joe or Scott or Michelle, Brendan? Okay, any other
Yeah, I
questions
think we
from
can
board
review
members?
it. It's a minor exchange. One thing that we picked up on, which doesn't sound like it's going to matter, is evidently there are some wetlands on or close to the property, but
We're outside.
Okay,
taking down things or removing things doesn't sound like it's going to affect anything.
okay.
Yeah, and we made sure we did not include them. Hold on. I saw one, but I think I saw the one that's with the trees. Yeah, I just have the one with the trees as well.
Okay. Concerned, Scott, or are we okay to move forward? We can just make it a condition of our motion to just say that confirmation that the deck has not been expanded over since the CO was issued? Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments before we offer a motion? Okay, do I have a motion to allow the minor lot line realignment for the, again, I apologize for the names, Korzanecki and Guarneri lot line realignment with the following conditions: removal of the fencing around the dog pen, the movement of the shed to meet the 25-foot setback requirement from the new property line, and that confirmation that there's been no expansion of the deck that's attached to the house since the CO was issued.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well,
Well,
I have a question.
okay, we have
Is
further
the house meeting the setbacks too?
Looks like the house will meet the setback. It's the deck that's going to be out of, it's going to be within the setback. It's going to be, this is the house, and this is the deck, and this is the new property line.
Okay.
So the deck is going to be within the 25 feet, but the house is back
Separate.
25 feet. Okay. Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, do we want to just reaffirm the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So with those three conditions, please work with the building department to confirm the deck. Scott, if that's all right, we'll just make sure that we don't see any change in the deck over time, and you should be fine.
Submit a new boundary line agreement to here or to the county?
Yeah, you're going to have to give us a copy of what you're going to do to transfer lines for approval, and that it has to be recorded within 90 days.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else to go over this evening? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.